District. Let me begin tonight by thanking everyone for coming out. It's obviously a beautiful spring day, and in Cleveland we got to value those, so I appreciate that you guys would take a few minutes to come out here with us and learn about what we have going on in the community. I'm only going to speak for a few minutes. I'm going to give you a rough blueprint of kind of what we have planned for this evening, and then speak briefly about our project, and let my colleague Jeff Jowdy is going to do a brief presentation about it as well. So what we're kind of thinking for the night is Jeff is going to give an introduction of our project. I know I see some familiar faces from our meeting that we had several months ago. Jeff is going to explain, essentially what we're going to be doing in the East Cleveland area and why we're doing it, okay? And he's one of our technical experts on it, and he can explain a little bit of why we're going to be in the community, all right? But then the crux of the meeting, and really, the thing that I think that myself and my colleagues are excited about is that we want to begin to gain even more input from you guys as community stakeholders and residents here about ways that we can improve upon our work and add to it, okay? And so what we envision is, I know that you guys obviously see some of the images that we have posted throughout the room. After Jeff speaks for about 10 or 15 minutes, we would like for you to, if the mood strikes you, to get up, walk around, look at some of the different pictures that we have. If it's difficult for you to walk around, you're free to look at them at your seats. I know that some of them are pretty large. You can pretty much see them. And myself and my colleagues will be comfortable to go around and show you some of the things if you want to remain in your seat. But what we would like to do is begin to gain some input from you guys about some of the forms that these basin designs can take, okay? Now, the one thing I'll say is that in terms of technically what the basins are, and Jeff will explain a lot of what they are, but in terms of technically, there's some things that we're not going to be able to take community input on, okay? Because there's engineering aspects and things that will just have to be what they are. But some of the things that we want to begin to get from you guys is, what would you like for them to look like? Okay, what are some of the amenities that maybe you think will be an asset to the community? I know that one of our basins is going to be near a school, okay, and so we have some concepts of things that maybe will take on an educational component by that basin. We'd like to see if you guys are on the same page with us with that. If you guys would like to see something different. We have some options for some fencing designs, seating, the way that some of the green and open space in the basins can be utilized. We'd like to get your feedback on how you think that it can be utilized, because obviously you're the ones that are going to be near these areas. You guys are going to be the ones that will be using them, okay? The other thing I wanted to make sure that I explain about this evening and going forward is, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not an engineer. A lot of these things are very new to me, okay? The title of this meeting technically is we're at our 60% design phase, and that's what the public meeting, why we have you all out here, okay? So right away, from the title of the meeting and where we are, you can understand, hopefully, that we're not all the way done. This project is, I think it would be fair to say, it's somewhat in its infancy, okay? We're still beginning to plan exactly, what we're going to do and the form that things are going to take, okay? So, as I was thinking about coming out here this evening, what I was thinking is, all right, if I was sitting where you are, some of the things that I would want to know are, when are you guys going to be out there? What are the streets going to be looking like? When is the construction going to begin? How long is it going to be? How much is my life going to be disrupted, okay? If I was sitting where you are, those are the things I want to know. Look, I got to be perfectly honest with you. We're going to have some answers to those questions this evening, and for some of them, our best and most honest answer is going to be, we're going to have to get back to you, okay? And I don't want to hide the ball with it. I want to be upfront about it right now, okay? We're not going to have all the answers, but what I can promise you is that the reason why we're having this meeting this evening and why we're going to be back out in a few more months at our 90% is because we value your input. We want to know what you guys think about this, and wherever possible, where your input can, have a factor in what we do in our work, we want to be responsive to that, okay? I know that to this point already, myself and my colleagues have had multiple meetings with the city administration. We've had some internal meetings at our offices with some community stakeholders, and frankly, I've learned something in each meeting about some concerns that maybe we were aware of but didn't understand the details of, and some things that were on our radar that maybe needed to be moved up on our radar, okay? And so, again, that's why we wanted to come out here this evening and begin to learn even more. What I'd like to do, we're somewhat limited for time. We have the room until 7 o'clock. We want to make sure that we get as much input from everyone as we can. We want to stay focused on getting your feedback on our basin designs and also explain what we can as well. So what I would like to do, I know that already I see a hand in the back. What I would like to do is let my colleagues speak for a few minutes, introduce the project, speak for, like I said, about 10 or 15 minutes about the basin design and about the things we want to get our feedback on. Have you guys, begin to take a look at it. What we have here as well that I failed to mention, we have some score sheets, okay, that we're going to pass out when the time is appropriate. And that'll allow you to look at the different images that we have, some of the different renderings, and provide just in a written form some of your feedback on things that you like, some of the things that you dislike. These scorecards have room for comments, just more free-flowing comments about things that you would like us to be aware of. What we're going to do during the more discussion phase towards the end of the meeting is really be sponges, okay? Myself and my colleagues are going to sit down, take notes on the feedback you give us, answer as many questions as we can about the basin designs and things that you'd like, and we'll also have the scorecards as we go forward within the process of beginning to plan and work with all these basins. So the one thing I would ask is just, for a little bit of your patience. We're going to have Jeff speak for a few minutes at the beginning to, again, preview the project for those of you who are not at the initial meeting, go around, look at the basin designs, and then we're going to reconvene, back in your seats where you are now, and at that time we will address some of your comments, your thoughts on the basin designs, and also address some questions that, that we're able to answer, okay? I appreciate your attentiveness thus far. And we're going to get started. So I'll pass it off to my colleague. His name is Jeff Jowett. He's a watershed team leader. East Cleveland is within his region. And again, he's going to speak for about 10 or 15 minutes and explain the high points of the project, and then we'll go from there. So thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. Again, my name is Jeff Jowett, watershed team leader. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit of Project Clean Lake and this project, specifically this project, and why we're doing this, all right? So here's our agenda. Joe took us through this. We're going to go through this overview. We're going to talk about the specifics of this project. Then we're going to hand out the scorecards. We're going to look at the projects, and we're going to get feedback from you because we want to learn from you. That's why we're here. So who we are the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. We are separate and distinct from the City of Cleveland, East Cleveland, and the state. We operate under Ohio Revised Code 6119. We service 62 member communities. And here you can see our service area, which consists of 355 square miles, most of Cuyahoga County, a little portion of Lorain, Summit, and even a few parcels up there in Lake County. We handle 3 wastewater treatment plants. So we have Westerly, which is over by Edgewater. We have Southerly, which is down in Cuyahoga Heights, right off of 77. And then we have Easterly, which is right here on the lake, right at the end of East 140. So that's where your wastewater goes, up to Easterly. And at these wastewater treatment plants, that's where we take all that raw sewage and everything from your home and businesses. That's where we treat it, we clean it, and we send it back into the environment as clean water, either into Lake Erie or into the Cuyahoga River. Now we do that through sewer interceptors. So these are the large pipes. So all 62 member communities are responsible for their own local system. So those are those small pipes that run along your street that captures that toilet, that other shower water, all that wastewater. It goes into the local pipes that are operated by the community, East Cleveland. So they operate that, and then they eventually take it to the big pipes, which we like to think of as like the highways of the sewer system. So these are the big pipes, and once that flow gets to us, it becomes our responsibility. And so we take it through our big pipes, and we take it to one of our 3 wastewater treatment plants, where again, we clean it and we send it back into the environment. On top of the interceptors, we are also responsible for combined sewer overflow control. So, in the city of Cleveland and the inner ring suburbs, it's a little blurry, but I circled East Cleveland right there. This is the combined sewer area. So these are the older communities. They were built out in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And the thinking at that time, the great engineering was, let's have one pipe. Let's collect all of that wastewater from your toilets and everything, and we'll put it into that pipe. Then when it rains, we'll also put that water into that same pipe. It'll clean out the pipes, it'll be great. Well, when we have a little bit of rainfall, it works just fine. All that water goes to the treatment plants, and it gets clean. When we get a large rainfall event, then the system can no longer handle it, and then we have CSO overflows, combined sewer overflows. That's rainwater, or we call stormwater, mixing with sewage and going into the environment. So we had a lot of rain last week, and then this weekend, I know I had a bad thunderstorm at my house. I live in Cleveland Heights, not too far away. And so when we have that, and as we just did, we have overflows. We have beach closings. So Villa Angelo is closed, Euclid Beach is closed, well, Metro Parks have other reasons for that, but there is bacteria in the water. So it is unsafe to swim because that combined sewer overflow has activated, it's gone into the environment, and it has polluted our beaches. Villa Angelo, Euclid Beach regularly are the #1 most polluted beach in the country. It's good to be #1, but not in this category. So, what have we been doing to handle this? Well, in 1972, when the sewer district was created, there was over 9 billion, yes, billion with a B, gallons of combined sewer overflow going into the environment. Now, since that time, we've cut that in half, and we've invested over $950 million to do that. But we're not done yet. We still have a long way to go. And so how we're going to move forward is through Project Clean Lake. So this is a project that's a consent decree through the US EPA, Department of Justice, to reduce our combined sewer overflows, excuse me, and to cut them down by 4 billion gallons. So this is going to be a 25-year build-out project, or 25-year project at $3 billion. This is a very big project that's going to take a long time. And this right here at the East 140th, this project that we're talking about is part of Project Clean Lake. So we're going to be capturing that combined sewer overflow through not only gray infrastructure, which is the traditional pipes and sewers, but also through green infrastructure. And that's what we're focusing on today, is the green part of it. So here we see the 9 green infrastructure projects that we're going to be using to combat combined sewer overflow. So these projects will capture that stormwater before it can even mix with the raw sewage. So we're going to keep it out of that system altogether through new storm sewers that will take it to green infrastructure, bioretention, detention basins, green features that are going to allow nature to do its work. We're going to take that stormwater and let it soak into the ground and let the plants take it up the way it would naturally. You know, as we develop an area, we put down a lot of hard surfaces, roads, roofs, driveways, parking lots. We don't allow that water to soak into the ground as it did naturally. So we get a lot of runoff that's going into the combined sewer area. So if we can pull that runoff out and take it to these green features, you know, then we can reduce some combined sewer overflow in a more natural way. So here we're going to talk about the 3 green infrastructure features with the East 140th project. So we have 3 basins that we're calling Page, Scioto, and 2nd Avenue. Those are highlighted right there. I'll get into them a little bit more, but this is where we're planning to utilize that green infrastructure technology. Now, as Joe already mentioned, you know, I'm not going to lie to you, this is going to be a construction project. So when we kick off, you know, there's going to be a little bit of community impact. Now, we don't have all of the answers, you know, as far as how things are going to be impacted, but we definitely we'll definitely be taking your concerns to heart. We'll be listening to you, and we're going to be addressing traffic. We're going to be addressing all these things. We've done this before. We do multiple construction projects, so we want to make sure that we are not disrupting your lives, you know, at least as we can. We do not want to disrupt you if we don't have to. So here is the Page Basin. So this is located on Page Avenue at the corner of Page and Euclid and then Wymore. So right there, there's a lot of vacant parcels, as you can see. That back parcel right there is actually a torn down apartment building that's just left in rubble right there. There are some other buildings that are completely vacant with broken out windows. Nobody's living there. It's just vacant, not the nicest area. That's what you see right there. And again, that's that pile of rubble that they tore down the building and then just left it there.
Asbestos.
So this is what we are proposing to do at that site. So we're going to clean up all of that. We're going to remove most of those buildings that are going to be in the footprint of the basin, and we're going to add green to it. So we're going to add trees. We're going to add native plants. And then this area will collect that stormwater, and then we'll allow it to soak into the ground and then slowly be released into the sewer system, reducing those combined sewer overflows. So a more natural, green space, and this is why we want to have you walk around, take a look at our renderings, look at our options, tell us what you think, how these could look and feel, you know? Scioto Basin. This is the one just north of Mayfair Elementary School. So we are really excited about this one because we feel that there's a great opportunity to work with the schools and make this an educational plaza. Currently there's some vacant land up there, there's some vacant buildings. We know there is a community garden right there. We've already met with some of those folks. We're hoping that we can continue a community garden in that area. Here are some pictures of just how it looks. This is a vacant building on the site. Another one is kind of dark. And this is what we're hoping to turn it into. Another nice green, park-like setting, utilizing trees, again those native plantings, and letting nature do its work by allowing that water to soak into the ground and then slowly release into the storm sewers. Second Avenue Basin is our last basin that we're going to be talking about. And this is on the corner of 2nd and Hayden, and then also 1st and Hayden. So we have some vacant parcels right there. I don't know if you've been out this way, but recently in the past year they put up some hoop houses there on 1st Avenue. So we're going to be working, with the hoop house folks, seeing if there's a way to incorporate it into, our design. If not, we can relocate them to another place. But it's certainly a partner that we'd like to explore. And so as you can see right here, these pictures were taken before the hoop houses, but it's just some vacant land out there. This is from 2nd, and this is from 1st. And then this is what we're envisioning. So this is the artist rendering of 2nd Avenue. So again, we're going to be bringing some green, some native planting, some trees, and in this option, we're incorporating the hoop houses there. So we don't know if that's possible. We don't know if that's something that you would like. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to, after Joe comes up here in just a second, we're going to go around the room. We're going to have you take a look at these scorecards, and we're going to get feedback from you. We want to talk to you and really understand what you think. All right, so Joe.
Yeah, so Jeff kind of teased it extremely well with what we want to do going forward. My colleagues and I are passing out some of the scorecards where we want to begin to get some of your feedback on some of these basins. Okay, and so as I said at the beginning, I'm looking around the room and I see engineers with tons of brain power. Okay, that know more than I do about the technical aspects of these basins. All right, so like I said, to a degree, there's some things about these that are going to remain static that I don't have any input on, and that, to be quite honest, you will not either, all right? But the things that we want to get your feedback on, as Jeff said, it's kind of like some of the look, feel, and use that some of these amenities can take. I mean, now hopefully, as Jeff was going through some of the current renderings, or they're not renderings, the current pictures of what the area looks like, and some of the ideas that we have for the shape that it can take when we're all done a couple years from now, you can see that, what we really hope is that it's going to be an asset to the area, okay, and a step forward. What we want to get from you is, especially when you think about the Scioto Basin, with near the school and upgrading the Page area, is different uses, different things that you would like to see these basins be used at beyond what they're going to do technically, okay. And so as you go around the room, to kind of give you a little bit of a primer. With each image, you're going to see one storyboard that has 3 different pictures of the same basin, okay? And now, some of the variations that you're going to see are going to seem very slight. Some of them are going to have walkways in different places. Some of them are going to have plants in different places. Some of them will have, educational amenities and different things that just, we kind of had ideas that we had moved around in different locations across the basin. When we're going out in the small little breakout session, if you see some of us, give us your feedback on that, okay? If you think that something would be good as an educational use, as a park-like space, a place to sit down and have kids do an educational classroom, or just a place to eat lunch, in the afternoon. If you think that that's something that it can be, great. If in your experience or in your estimation, you don't think that the area is ready for that or there's a good use for that, we want to hear that too, okay? So when you go to each station around the room, you're going to see an existing overhead picture. You're going to see 2 then renderings of, the artist rendering that Jeff showed, and then 3 different conceptions of just ideas and different shapes that we thought the basin could take. The scorecards you're getting, as we've kind of gone through, just so hopefully it becomes clear. Now, there's 3 different basins that we're going to be putting into the community, okay? You have 3 scorecards, all right? The things that we kind of want to get, and again, I hesitate to even use the term voting, but the things that we want to kind of get your ideas on of different things that you like and dislike are, what's the kind of form you would like to see the benches take, the fencing. We know that for some, near school, we're going to have a fence up for safety reasons, all right? But you guys, we want to get your input on, what kind of shape can the fence take? What can the benches look like? What can some of the seating be like? What can some of the plant life around the basin be like? Some of the cosmetic but still important things that will make this basin feel like it's a part of your community. Okay. So again, what we kind of conceive right now, we're at 6 o'clock, so we've got some time. Let's take 15 minutes, whatever we need, okay? Go from there. Like I said, feel free to get up, walk around the room, see the different renderings. Myself and my colleagues will be at each of the stations. And then when we feel like we've gotten a good critical mass of ideas, we'll come and sit back down and take some concerns, questions, and a little more of an open forum discussion, okay?
Jeff,
so with that, yeah.
Can you just be super clear that everybody has 3 different pieces of the basin?
They should. If you've got 2, raise your hand. So give us a second here. Well get a third score sheet out to everyone.
All right. So make sure you're just checking, what you like. It's not a, win or lose.
Right. And again, the overarching goal of this is we want to get feedback. We want to just understand kind of where some of your heads are with the shape that these can take. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
And I apologize, but I need to understand better what it is
That's what
You're
I'm saying.
talking, you said basis, is that correct?
You didn't
What is
explain it.
that?
Okay. Yeah, I'll let our project manager, Elsa Sharper, she can give you a good idea of what it is.
I told Joe and Jeff earlier in the week that they would be the primary presenters, give me the nod if you needed. So when we say basin, these are going to be deep excavations in the ground. The maximum depth, or is it the average depth of all the basins, is about 11.5 feet. But they will be sloped gently down to that maximum depth, so it won't be a sudden drop into the basin. So what we're going to do is go back up into the sewer system to where we have separate storm sewers, take those out of the combined sewers, and bring that water. We're going to bring the water into these basins to slow it down before it then is sent into Shawbrook Culvert. So this will require a lot of excavation, and then the upper surfaces of these basins, before we start the slope, will be where we have room to put in the park space, the educational features, the walking trails. The interiors of the basins will often be moist, so you won't be going inside, you won't be walking into those basins. It will be primarily what you're looking at today is what's going on around those basins. So I'm not sure if that was clear.
So,
No.
Go ahead.
I'm envisioning, like a big hole, okay?
Right.
Is what you're saying, that has greenery around it to make it look more attractive on Euclid Avenue. Is that what you're saying?
You're exactly right, and we will try to have some native species that can tolerate being wet and being dry, and add some color to those slopes so that you're not just looking at soil, you're not just looking at rocks. And that's part of what we want an idea from you. Do you like the tall grasses? Do you like the flowering species? And then we look, most likely the top surfaces would be a bit more manicured. On the bottom, we need to put in something other than ordinary grass that won't just turn brown after a few rainfalls. So what you're thinking, you actually really described it quite well. I think you were next, and then...
I just want to know who's going to take care of all of that, because it seems like paper and junk is everywhere. And who's going to take care of it? It looks nice here, but who's going to
keep it looking just like
The
this?
sewer district is actually required, as part of our consent decree, the federal government, we are actually required to maintain these basin sites forever.
Yeah. So don't have the concern that we're going to come in here, do all this work, have these basins, and then you're never going to see me again, and in a year it's going to look exactly the same. The sewer district is going to have the responsibility for maintaining them. Okay. So the images that you see, whichever one ultimately comes out of this meeting, and the design things that we do, the images that you see and how they look now, that's how they're going to look. Okay.
Okay, is that going to run my sewer bill up?
Yes. And the taxes? What about the taxes, the bill, all that stuff?
Well,
The answer.
so this is all through Project Clean Lake. So Project Clean Lake is a mandatory improvement and consent decree through the US EPA. So there are rate increases that the district regularly does. This project individually will not raise your rates. Everyone across the whole sewer district will be paying the same rates. So any rate increases, everyone will see across our all 62 member communities.
But the biggest reason why that rate is going to change is because of the green infrastructure.
Well, not just the green infrastructure. We have massive tunnels that are going underground as part of the gray infrastructure. So it's all of Project Clean Lake.
Which is
green
mandated by the
infrastructure is
United
just
States
a part
EPA.
of that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the whole project.
Who owns the land?
Who owns? We are going to be working on owning the land. So we will own the land in the end, and that's why we will also be.
In the end of the project? or-
Absolutely, at the end of the project, and then it's going to be ours to maintain in perpetuity. So we're going to be cleaning the trash, we're going to be weeding, we're going to be planting new plants if they die, we're going to be making sure that everything functions the way it's supposed to be. These are ours, and we want to make sure that they work right, and the US EPA is going to mandate that they work right.
So say for instance, if it doesn't rain, do you water that?
At the beginning, we will have to water the plants while they're still getting established, but down the road, if we pick native plants, they can handle being dry when it's dry, they can handle being wet when it's wet. So we're really trying to pick some plants that are relatively low maintenance, but any maintenance that will need to be done ultimately will fall on us. So we don't want to pick plants that need a whole lot of maintenance.
So you have to negotiate with the city of East Cleveland in order to acquire the land, or you're gonna acquire the land prior to?
Well, we have met with the city, and we will also be meeting with all the property owners and working with them. So, this gentleman had a question right here.
Well, I was wondering, in the basin, is there just water or is there vegetation?
No, and I apologize for not describing this a little bit better, but these are going to be dry for about 85% of the time. So these are just going to be green, manicured spaces. Now they're going to be depressed down, we're going to have to dig them out, but for 85% of the time, 90% of the time, there's not going to be any water there. You're just going to see beautiful green plants. And then when it rains, it'll be down a little bit, and then we're going to have some fencing around that. We have options of fencing just to keep people out because we want these to function right. We also are concerned about safety. But, you know, during a little rainfall event, you might see a little bit of water, and it'll come up, and it'll drain down in about 24 hours to 48 hours.
Will it create mosquitoes?
It will not create mosquitoes because the ponding water won't be there long enough for those mosquitoes to hatch and mature.
Right.
So there won't be a mosquito issue. Actually, if we plant, you know, the native plants, it will encourage dragonflies, which actually eat mosquitoes. So hopefully we see a reduction in mosquitoes. I'm not promising that. Yes.
What we're, my constituent over here is asking is about the land. Now, you've dealt with several plots of land, but you kind of skipped over what she was asking. How is it done with the land? The land has to be acquired before you can even deal with it. It's on the drawing board what you have right now.
Yes.
But in order to do what you need to do, you still have to acquire the land, and I know you've been looking at specific areas. So how, answer the constituent's question as to how the land is acquired. Because as a council person, I haven't seen any land come across from the sewer.
Yeah, I apologize if I didn't answer that question. Here's Josh. He's with our.
I'm an attorney with the sewer district, and I work on property acquisition.
Okay.
We follow specific guidelines in the Ohio Revised Code to acquire property. We work with a consultant, their name is Nora Cohen, and they will reach out to each of the property owners that we will be working with, negotiating with to acquire property. And also I've also sent out letters to most of the property owners as well. But Nora Cohen will manage an appraisal process, and that appraisal is then reviewed by a third-party appraiser, and then ultimately that is approved by the sewer district, and then that would initiate negotiation with the property owner.
Okay, but if it's city property, then you come to the city?
Correct.
Okay.
Public meetings?
You're at one right now.
Yeah,
In reference to what
I
you're
don't
speaking
think the
of.
city has any specific public meetings for land-based property. I don't think that's part of their process.
And quite frankly, ma'am, you know, we're not going to speak for the city on behalf of this. I mean, our legal team is going to, you know, work with the individual property owners, work with the city where appropriate to make sure that all that is ironed out. But the thing, for our purposes, understand that when we have the basins, they're going to be ours, our responsibility, ours to maintain. Now, the one thing I'll say, and believe me, I see everyone's question, I see everyone's hands. I'll take these last two, but I want to get at least 10 or 15 minutes for everyone to go around because we really want to get your feedback on some of the designs of these basins, okay?
Have you thought any more about the driveway on that house that the woman wants to stay?
We have thought about it, and again, the conversations with individual property owners will take place on an individual basis to see how they want to handle it. Yes, ma'am.
Why these particular locations? I don't know that I missed the answer to that because the 12 are right there on page.
Yeah, excuse me, please, everyone, we'd like to
That's a good
be able to hear
question.
her. Yeah, it is a good question. The question was why in certain locations, why we're in these locations.
Sure, and I'll answer this question, and as Joe said, then we would like to go around and start looking at the boards and then come back and collect some feedback. And you can always call with other questions after the meeting or email or anything. But as far as how we chose the location, we need a lot of space because we have millions of gallons of water that we need to capture in these basins. So we looked at areas where there either were large plots of land that already don't have buildings, or they have buildings that did not appear to be occupied. So we tried to avoid taking occupied houses if we could avoid it. For example, there was a larger site that we looked at before we went to the Scioto Basin that we thought, wow, this is ideal. There are 4 acres of land, but it turned out that somebody else was already building another project there, so we couldn't use that. So really it was, where can we assemble enough acreage for these basins to do what they need to do? And also, they need to be at the end of town where we are picking up the storm sewers, where we can reasonably bring the water there without building miles and miles and miles of storm sewers. We're still building about 2 miles of storm sewers and 3 or 4 miles of other sewers, but...
And this is just one of 9 projects. So we have 8 other projects across Cleveland where we're doing the same thing. We're capturing stormwater, keeping it out of the combined sewer area. So it's just wherever the opportunity exists. So, Joe, I think we can go
please,
around now.
Other questions as they emerge, we can get some, as we kind of break out, and we'll be all around the room, and then we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes and, kind of wrap up and listen to other things. Kyle, did you have something to add?
One thing, folks, hi, I'm Kyle Drakerswell. I'm the Deputy Director of Watershed Programs at the Sewer District, and I just want the Sewer District folks to raise your hands that are in the room, because you can give feedback to any of us. So you can come up to any of us, we'll write it down, we'll all regroup after this. So we're all here, and feel free to just, any feedback as Joe's taking you around the room, just come to us and we'll...
So please, you guys can start where you want. Like you see, we have 30 locations. For those of you that need to remain seated, we can come to you. But please, take a few minutes. We kind of just want to begin to get your feedback.
And just mark what you like. There's no winners or losers, and mark down